In this video, we'll be putting two Batman miniseries up against each other and determine which provides the best value and which deserves an upgrade if it's released in a more deluxe format. Both Batman Reptilian and Batman Detective are 6-issue stories recently released from DC Comics. Because they're similar in structure and the era of release, they make great contestants in a head-to-head battle. Batman Reptilian is written by Garth Ennis of The Boys, Punisher, and Preacher. It was originally slated for his frequent collaborator, artist Steve Dillon. With Mr. Dillon's untimely passing, the project was passed on to Liam Sharp. Sharp has been on my radar for a while. I thought his Celtic layouts on Brave and Bold were cool, and his Green Lantern series with Grant Morrison provided opportunities for him to experiment with style. He's currently doing the pencils on Batman Catwoman. Batman Detective is written by Tom Taylor, who you might know from Injustice, or his current work on Nightwing, or Dark Knights of Steel. The pencils are by Andy Kubert, who rose to prominence back in the day on X-Men, and who's been drawing Batman since the early days of Grant Morrison's run on the title. Kubert has penciled some big stories for DC over the years, including Batman and Son, Whatever Happened to the Caped Crusader, The Master Race, and Flashpoint. Reptilian is on DC Black Label, which means it can have more mature content and can exist outside continuity by presenting alternate takes on characters we already know. Ennis takes advantage of this freedom by depicting a slightly sadistic and gruff Batman who's investigating a mysterious threat that's attacking and mutilating his entire rogues gallery of villains. The back and forth quips with Alfred in the Batcave are humorous, as is Batman's dry wit elsewhere, but at times he speaks in a campy and out-of-character manner. Over the course of the first 4 issues, Batman investigates and interrogates while dealing with Penguin, Mr. Freeze, and Joker, before moving on to Killer Croc. The writing here has a dark humor, and the story starts trending into wackiness like only Ennis can, but he doesn't go too far with it this time. Liam Sharp's artwork here is unique. He provides fully painted panels that trend towards abstraction at times, and feel similar to what Dave McKean did back in Arkham Asylum: A Serious House on Serious Earth. The dark backgrounds and heavily shadowed figures mean that you'll want to read this under good light, as the artwork can be difficult to read at times, but its unique style also makes it wonderfully compelling. He uses colors for kaleidoscopic effect at times, and Batman himself is always presented as a big, brooding shape, looming over those he terrorizes. I've been impressed with Liam Sharp's creativity on the last few projects I've seen from him, and that remains true here. The compositions are unique, and don't look like anything else on the rack these days. There are textures and color work that you just don't see in comics, and he's presenting the most impressive work of his long career. The plot here is a bit wild, and the dialogue can clunk out at times, but the artwork here is something special, and would appeal to any reader who loves that atmospheric, painted style of comic book. Detective is a standard DC release, but still presents an alternate continuity by focusing on a potential future for Bruce Wayne. This is a mature Batman towards the end of his career. He isn't quite as old and gruff as he appears in The Dark Knight Returns, but he's on his way there. In this future, Alfred and the Bat family are gone, and someone appears to be trying to erase Batman's impact by targeting those whom he saved earlier in his career. Batman pursues this Equilibrium group to Europe, and most of the action takes place in London, Paris, and Brussels. We get some flashbacks to Bruce's early days training with Henry Ducard, and in the present, he works with the new Knight and Squire to try to stop the Equilibrium threat. This is a supremely well-prepared Batman, with contingency plan upon contingency plan and unlimited resources, who rarely makes a mistake, yet his opponents manage to stay ahead of him. Taylor plays with the idea that all actions have consequences, even if they're seemingly good or noble. The ripple effect theme doesn't quite come to its full potential, but it does work to hold the story together. Andy Kubert's pencil work here is solid. He does great with the landmarks and locations, while the Batman costume is reminiscent of his iconic 666 version. Kubert is an expert at choreographing action sequences, as he pulls the camera back and uses multiple small panels to depict the details of hand-to-hand combat scenes. His square-jawed, tough old man body type gets used a lot, and he's never had the best variety of facial types for his characters, but his work is always dynamic in its composition. Through flashbacks, he gets to present Batman in the old blue and gray suit, and his design for Equilibrium, who all wear white versions of the Batman suit, are streamlined but effective. The central conceit of the story is a touch contrived, that Batman's madness moves him toward good, while the antagonist's madness moves them to undo that good, but it does provide the framework for a classic globe-trotting caper style of story that Taylor and Kubert wanted to tell. If the story is just alright, the art makes up for it with Kubert producing work that can stand shoulder to shoulder with his best. So we've got two 6-issue stories by two strong writers, with the artwork being the highlight in each. What do? If we take a quick look at the costs, we'll see that we pay an extra $1 per issue of Reptilian for no ads, better cardstock covers, and we also get an extra 8 pages of bonus material per issue, usually just the variant covers and a preview of next issue's artwork. But with Detective, we actually get slightly more story for slightly less money, so it technically offers the better value. However, if we consider the upcoming hardcover releases, Reptilian looks like the better buy. You get the hardcover treatment for $5 less than the cover price of the individual issues themselves. And if the solicits are to be trusted, it looks like there will be 28 pages of bonus material, likely what we've already seen in the individual issues themselves. By contrast, the hardcover for Detective looks to cost the exact same as the individual issues themselves, though it also appears to include 24 pages of bonus content. Ultimately, I myself will be looking to upgrade Batman Reptilian, though I recognize that Kubert's artwork on Detective is far more traditional and is more easily accessible. There's something special about the artwork Sharp has done in Reptilian. It won't be for everybody, and if they up the glossy paper even more on the hardback, it'll be even harder to read. But I may even hold out with fingers crossed for a deluxe hardcover edition of Reptilian, because the oversized format would be ideal to better appreciate the art. Because whether I'm reading novels or comic books, I'm always looking to upgrade that bookshelf.